Andersen.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back, channel Andersen, and welcome to an update video on the CLK55. Today we are going to be diving into this thing for a simple little check on my end. You know, a long time ago we did the Hellcat style fuel pump on this thing, and I want to check if the basically fitting that we put on top is still holding up okay. On my C55 I did a similar thing, and then later on the hose ended up popping off and basically just lost fuel pressure when I was just test firing it in the garage. So I'm gonna make sure that's not gonna happen on this thing, just to be sure. And besides that, we're gonna try to maybe raise the idle on this thing through some programming, and just overall give you guys a little check-in on it, since it's been a while since we had a specific video focused on this car. And of course, as soon as I start recording, it starts raining, but that's okay. To update those that don't really know about this car, this is a 2003 CLK55 that was swapped with an M113K, and we did a ton of work to this thing after we got it. I mean, for the most part it was there and put together, but it needed a ton of wiring, a lot of updates as far as like injectors and the fuel pump and just the whole fuel system in general. We did the crossover tubes from Needs Wings. We got high flow filters in it. We've done some work on the serpentine assembly, and we just threw in this little nice 63 Motorsports oil filter cover, or oil filter cap. We've done a catch can, we've done modifications to the fuel rail, all types of stuff. So it's been really good. I've enjoyed this car a lot and want to keep kind of progressing on it. And yeah, it was just kind of time that I went in and checked on the fuel system, saw how it was doing. So that's what we're doing today. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so just zipped the little cover plate bolts off, and now we're going to use a hammer and screwdriver to rotate this ring counterclockwise, and then we'll be able to pop up the fuel hat and see how our hose is doing in there. All right, guys, we're in here. Honestly, it looks like things are just fine. I was probably just being overly precautious. Just seeing that happened on the C55, I wanted to make sure this thing wasn't looking like it was going to slip off. But the C55's hose, it was like the clearish, or what was clear, kind of clear brown now, style hose, and that one was just a pain to try to get the heat shrink. Normally with these ones, this one was nice because when you heat it up, it'll loosen, and then you heat it again, it'll shrink. So the black style of these fuel hoses, the plastic ones, work a lot better. So this one's doing just fine. It was just good to check, go in and make sure everything's good to go. And I also wanted to look at the wiring while it's in here, but all the wiring looks good too. No like hot spots or anything weird. So yeah, I think we're good to button this back up. I'm gonna bleed the rail, and then I have some gas. I'll fill this thing up while we're at home, and then let's go ahead and fire it up. All right, guys, while we have it out, that black seal that was on here wasn't in the best of shape, so I had a nice green one laying around. Go ahead and swap that in, plug this thing in. I usually put a little bit of dielectric grease, make it a little easier to slide down in. All right, guys, that is all buttoned back up. I'm gonna go try to bleed the rail just in case, and then we're going to fill up the car. All right, guys, I just bled the rail. Sorry I didn't show you, I was getting rained on, but had to remove this side of the air box, and then there's a little Schrader valve on this side of the fuel rail. So let's go ahead, try to reset this thing real quick. Get the fuel pressure back up. A couple times. All right, that should be good. Let's go ahead, fire it up. All right, and it's been a little while, so battery's probably a little weak, but I want to drive this thing this week since I didn't really drive it before I went on vacation this past week. Had good old 7 days off. Now we're gonna get back to the work week, and want to start daily driving this thing since the snow is gone and just a little rain going on now. All right, and I also talked to Josh. There's a way that we can raise the idle when in drive. So I'm gonna try that. I gotta connect with him to recap what I need to do in Zentry to be able to raise the idle on it, but that will get rid of basically all the noise you hear from the fixed pulley, because really it's only happening when it's at like 600, 650 RPM where it idles stock. If we can raise it to like 750, I don't think you'll be able to hear any of that, you know, classic rattle noise that you hear on the fixed pulleys. Oh my goodness, guys. Well, the car is absolutely soaked inside from me having the doors open doing that, but this was more so just like a peace of mind thing. I mean, it's not like the car was running fine. I've blasted on this thing a bunch of times, but it's just a peace of mind thing. It's been a while since I put the fuel pump in. Might as well go in and check things. I especially want to check what is the wiring looking like. Does anything look like it was getting hot? And thankfully, as what we saw there, no. So yeah, let's go from here, start driving this thing again, and take you guys for a quick little spin around the neighborhood. All right, you guys, we're just cruising the car now. It's always a joy to drive this thing. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing when you don't know what this car is, and then you take it out, and just the power that the M113K has in this thing is insane. It'll just blow the tires off. And at the same time, it's such a great daily driver. It's so comfortable. It's pretty good on gas for what it is. Like, it's not crazy by any means. And it's just a great overall car. Like, I think I've said this before on the channel, but I was never really a big fan of 209s. I always thought they were kind of like, I don't know, like cool from afar, but I didn't have any interest in them. And having this car now, I fell in love with it so much. It's just been such a great car for learning and for the channel and to experience and to daily drive. It's awesome. It's like such a Swiss Army knife. If it was a sedan, you know, maybe it gets a little bit of an edge, but it's my only coupe too. So I haven't had a coupe outside of this one as far as Benz cars go. And the only other coupe I had in my whole entire car experience was actually two cars. My first car, which is a 94 Mitsubishi Eclipse GS, and then a EJ1 Civic SI. So yeah, kind of cool to have another coupe again in the fleet right now. I don't know if there's any others that I'll ever have, to be honest. Like Benz wise, we had the, you know, the compressor coupe, but that was for other purposes, donating its heart to the 190. So this is the one that I'm really interested in having, and very grateful to have this car. You guys, that's literally like a hair on the throttle. I'm like not even an 8th throttle right there. And if I start getting into it, it just starts rolling. This car is so much fun. All right, you guys, well, I'm gonna go ahead, leave it right here. All right, guys, well, I'm gonna talk to you in here so I don't get any more drenched than I already am, but I guess to, you know, kind of seal this thing for long-term review, since we've had it for, it's got to be close to 2 years now. It's honestly, like, when I bought this car, I was a bit nervous buying something that's this big of a project. You know, at some point for somebody was, you know, the whole engine swap, everything that's done to this car, the brakes, the coilovers, like it's got so many additions and modifications and upgrades. I hadn't bought a car like that probably ever that was that modified by, you know, a previous owner. So it was nerve-wracking, to say the least, of what am I getting myself into, but at the same time, the value of all the pieces put together for this car far exceeded what I paid for it. And that made me, you know, comfortable to just like, all right, let's jump in. Let's see what this whole M113K life is like. And I'm really glad that I did. It made me comfortable with a platform that I wasn't comfortable with before, or, you know, didn't think that I would enjoy as much as I do. And I'm just beyond grateful that I end up, you know, snagging this thing when I did. And shout out to Alex, the previous owner. Just a super transparent dude about the whole car and didn't hide anything, and that made it, you know, a lot easier to kind of figure out a deal and eventually pull the trigger on it. So my long-term review, it's an awesome car. I think you guys have probably enjoyed this car more than anything else that I've had on the channel as far as the videos go, and kind of feedback I've gotten from them, and then just the data in general. You guys really enjoy this thing. For that reason, alongside the fact that I love it, I think this is one that we're gonna keep around for a long time. And I definitely have plans for some more upgrades as we go. I wanna go through the cooling system a little bit and try to make it more applicable to a street car. You know, aiming for like really quick recovery versus like a ton of capacity, because the system that's in there right now, it's more so designed for like passes on a, you know, drag strip, where you fill it up with ice, make a pass, come down, cool it off, etc. So the capacity and just the setup of it, I think, kind of hurts a little bit on street setting. So we're gonna try to do some work with that and try to change it up. I have some ideas in mind that I'll get to once we get a little closer to like springtime, getting ready for summer. Right now it's so cold that it doesn't really matter. Like, we can blast on it and it doesn't get, you know, crazy hot. It doesn't get to where I want it to be, but we'll get it there with time. So cooling system, we've done, you know, fuel system. The next thing I want to do for the fuel system is put it on its own kind of like little bus bar situation. Inspired by local E55 that I've seen, Aaron's car, if you guys are familiar. So I would like to do that, kind of put the fuel system on its own little power supply or own little connection separate from the rest of it, just to keep, you know, any chances of heat or anything like that getting into it. And then besides that, I'm trying to think what else. You know, LSD one day would be great, but it's got the smaller early CLK housing, so it's different than the LSDs that I have that fit. And what else? I don't know. It's pretty good the way it is, to be honest. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. It just, once I did all the work to the wiring, we did all the work to get it tuned the way we wanted to, upgraded a bunch of parts, put the supercharger spacers on it, the thermalnator gaskets, I should say. They're not really spacers, on the supercharger and on the surge tanks. We did the pulley. It already has a Wistek 180mm pulley, and I've just done a bunch of other little stuff along the way. So we'll keep going, we'll keep plugging away at it, but I just wanted to give you guys an update on it, tell you guys what my kind of long-term ownership review experience has been like up to this point. And you guys let me know how much of you liked this car, what else you want to see with it, and what would you do if you had it? What kind of things would you be looking at upgrading next? And I'll be curious to hear what you guys say. So that's it. It's raining. It's a Sunday. I got work again tomorrow, so I wanted to get back on the train of getting in the groove of getting videos out to you guys, since I know I've kind of been taking a little bit of a break, and I was mindful of that. So hopefully you guys didn't mind the absence of the videos for the past like week or so, week and a half. But we're gonna get back on it and you know, and keep things rolling. So I will catch you on the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.